Please excuse any mispronunciation in this story. I mean no disrespect. This story is about Bianca Noel Piper, who vanished from Foley, Missouri on March 10th, 2005. She was 13 years old at the time and should be 31 years old now. Bianca's parents, David Piper and Shannon Tanner, were divorced in 1993, and David moved to Frederickstown, Missouri to work as a truck driver. Shannon began dating a man named Jim Felt, and in October 2004 they moved with Bianca and her siblings to Foley, Missouri. Bianca Noel Piper was born as the youngest of 3 girls on December 26, 1991. Bianca was diagnosed with ADHD and severe bipolar disorder at a young age, conditions for which she was hospitalized. As a result, she suffered mood swings, periodic anxiety attacks, aggressive tendencies, and issues with self-control. She was to take several medications on a daily basis, and when on them, it was difficult to tell she struggled with her mental health. However, when off them, she became disoriented and had hallucinations. At the time of her disappearance, she was an 8th grader at Winfield Middle School who loved horses, Barbie, and the color purple. Her teacher described her as artistically talented, but with the mental capacity of a 2nd grader. Was placed in special education classes. She was reportedly absent from school quite frequently. At 6:15 p.m. on March 10, 2005, Shannon dropped her daughter off at McIntosh Hill Road, a remote gravel stretch a mile from their home. Bianca had been having issues with anger management, and after having a tantrum over having to do the dishes, she asked to be given some time to cool off. To deal with her anger, Bianca's therapist had advised Shannon to drive her daughter to a location away from the family home and have her walk home alone. The pair had tried the technique the night before and found it to be successful, prompting Bianca to want to give it another try. After dropping Bianca off, Shannon returned home to begin cooking dinner. 15 minutes went by, and Bianca didn't return home. Worried, Shannon drove to where she'd been dropped off, but found the road empty. She and Jim then went door to door, asking if anyone had seen Bianca. Unfortunately, no one had seen anything. At 8:20 p.m., Shannon reported Bianca missing, leading the local authorities to issue an endangered missing child alert. Initially, investigators believed Bianca had gotten lost, meaning she'd likely succumbed to exposure in the below freezing temperatures if not found. A 270 square mile search involving search dogs and investigators on 4-wheelers and horseback uncovered no clues. A search of local sheds and other shelters delivered the same result. As such, it was determined Bianca had been abducted. The official search for Bianca was called off after a week, while citizen volunteers continued to look for any traces of the missing teenager. Shannon and Jim were administered polygraph tests, and both passed. David was also extensively interviewed. At this time, police do not consider anyone in Bianca's family to be involved in her disappearance. In March 2005, the Carol Son Carrington Memorial Reward Foundation offered a $5,000 reward for information leading to Bianca's return. The family added an additional $5,000 to this total. In May 2005, police responded to a domestic dispute between Shannon and Jim. Shannon filed a complaint against her live-in boyfriend, but later dropped it after the two reconciled. Just a month later, Shannon was arrested and charged with assault on Bianca's sister, Tiffany. She allegedly hit Tiffany on the head with a curling iron and threatened to tie her up and lock her in her bedroom. When deputies arrived at the home, they found Shannon on top of her daughter, holding her face to the ground, and noticed a large bump on Tiffany's forehead. When asked how the dispute began, Shannon claimed Tiffany had thrown a glass dish at her and that she was only trying to keep her from harming herself, as she'd stopped taking her medication to keep her bipolar disorder and schizophrenia under control. At one point, Shannon shoved an officer and reached for a piece of broken glass on the ground. This prompted the second deputy to subdue her with a taser, after which she complied with their orders. Following Shannon's arrest, her other daughter was sent to live with her grandmother. It's rumored a white pickup truck was seen near the pond on the property of a nearby neighbor on the night Bianca went missing. It's alleged the vehicle was along the water for a minute or two before driving away. The neighbor initially assumed it was someone turning around, but that changed after an interaction with Tiffany in 2009. It's alleged the teenager claimed her sister was in the pond, prompting the neighbor to contact law enforcement. Unfortunately, nothing came of this tip. Bianca's image has been featured on thousands of missing person flyers and postcards that have been sent as far away as Maryland. In June 2012, Tiffany was arrested when she arranged for two high school girls to meet men she found when she'd placed ads online. She invited the men to meet the pair at a St. Peter's Extended Stay America location. Her arrest came after she herself had been sold into prostitution. She refused to give up the name of the person involved in her own instance of exploitation. Bianca's disappearance is said to have changed her older sister. In April 2014, her accomplice, Demon Day, was sentenced to 5 years in prison, while she was later sentenced to 8. The primary theory in the case, which is supported by investigators, is that Bianca was abducted while walking back to her house. Given she'd been dropped off along a remote road, it's possible someone who knew the area came across her and forced her into their vehicle. Another possible explanation is that Bianca's mother had something to do with her disappearance. Some of those who'd looked into the case cite the family's dysfunction as a reason why. Under this theory, it's possible Shannon may have done something to Bianca after her daughter got upset over having to do her chores and made up the story of driving her from the home to give her a chance to cool off. Numerous vigils have been held over the years. Shannon has since moved to St. Charles, Missouri. In 2009, David died of a heart attack. Tiffany has since given birth to 2 children of her own. Bianca was last seen wearing a lime green blouse, a gray Adidas hooded sweatshirt, blue jeans, and white sneakers. She was also carrying a flashlight at the time of her disappearance. She stood at 5 foot 6 inches and weighed 185 pounds. She had brown hair, which she typically wore in a ponytail, and she had brown eyes. Her ears were pierced, and she has scars on her arms, legs, and one on her abdomen. She may be in need of medical attention due to her mental health issues. Currently, the case is classified as endangered missing. I would like to believe that someone raised Bianca no matter how she came into their custody, and that she survived for the last 18 years, and I hope someday she will be found safe. If anybody has any possible leads in this case, please check out the contact information in the description. Thank you.